After a while of playing Football Manager, I decided that it was time to learn how to set up training. I had no idea up to that point, so I studied it and I studied it, and I became fairly good at setting up training all by myself. It did take a lot of time, though, as I played through a season, setting it up, tweaking it, and making adjustments here and there where necessary. But I did become very successful at the game. When I started my YouTube channel a year and a half ago, I realized I don't have time for training anymore. And so I pretty much have left my training to others, although there are a couple of things that I still do. In Understanding Football Manager, the A to Z today, we're going to look at T is for training. And I've had many requests from people about how I set up my training during my saves. And I'm just going to be totally open and honest. And I'm going to show you two things that I do, which save me a great deal of time. And there's not really much effort that you need to put into it. Let's go and kick some balls. Hello and welcome to FM with Old Man Phil, and if you are a brand new visitor, I'm Phil and welcome to the channel. And today in the A to Z of Football Manager, T is for training, and I've had a number of requests from people who view the channel to explain how I go through my training and what I do, and the answer is very little. And so today I'm just going to look at what I do in terms of my training and how I get away with doing very, very little and still remain successful. When I did start playing FM, I didn't do any training, of course. I didn't understand training in my first couple of years, but after 3 or so years I decided I needed to learn about it. I studied it and I studied it, and I actually became very good at setting it up. And I've used the system that I use for many, many years now, and I still remain successful. But then when I started my YouTube channel, I realized that I just simply don't have the time. I have to get through games. And so I abandoned doing the training myself. I just pretty much leave it to my assistant manager or to a particular favorite coach that I have, and I get on with the game itself. And you know what? We're still pretty successful. With Benfica, I won 5 trophies in a season. I've won countless Champions Leagues. I've been promoted. I've got Premier League titles. And at the moment, and the live stream that we're doing, you can see that we are with Burnley. We're in our 3rd season and we are in 6th in the Premier League. So we're fighting for a European spot maybe this year, although I very much doubt it. And so is training really important in the grand scheme of things? I'm really not sure. That will be for you to decide, not for me. All I know is how I do it and how that saves me an absolute great deal of time. But before we go into looking at what I do, if you are brand new to the channel, you like FM content, and you love to see people suffer playing this game, then you're probably in the right place. So why not subscribe, like, watch, comment, help the channel to grow, and help us to support the British Heart Foundation. And so I think, as you can gather already, I don't believe that training matters that much at all, and your input into training really doesn't need to be that high. And if you are a complete beginner or very inexperienced in terms of training, then this is the right video for you. If you don't want to dabble too much, I'm just going to give you a few tips on what you can do to maximize your training at your current club. And so the first thing that you can do is go and have a look at your assistant manager. And if he's not very good, get rid of him and get someone in who's much better. And as you can see, I've got this boy called Wedatalake, and he's a very good assistant manager. And I trust him because he has all the right attributes that I need from him. He has a very solid reputation. He's got great coaching attributes. He's not much good at fitness, but we'll let him off that one because the rest of it is technical, is tactical, working with youngsters. He's got great mentors. He's got good knowledge, probably better than mine. And so I trust him implicitly to carry out the training. And then the next thing I'm going to do is go back to my staff and go to responsibilities training, and then we'll just delegate it to him and we will let him take control of that. However, I'm not going to let him lead the individual training. I like to do that myself because I think that that is important, how you deal with that in terms of developing players and especially your younger players. So I will take that aspect on myself. but that really doesn't take a lot of time. And if you do want a video on that, I'm not going to go into that in this video. If you want a video on that, then just leave me a comment, and if I get enough comments, I'll put a video together for you on how I actually do that, because I do believe that that is quite important. And so now I have told my assistant manager, get on with the training. I don't want to take part in it at all. And basically, he will then set up training as he sees fit. And if you go through, he will decide what he wants to do. If you move on, this is what we've already been doing. If you move on, he will set the training, and he generally will do a very good job. However, there are a couple of things that he doesn't pay attention to, and in particular, you'll see that he never actually schedules a match review. He schedules match previews, but he doesn't schedule a match review. And so therefore, all you need to do is pop in the day after the match, and then just pop in here a match review, go to match preparation and pop in a match review, job done. Also, you do need to be careful because, as you can see from the schedule here, he hasn't actually scheduled a match preview. So we'll just go in here and we'll schedule a match preview. And in here, I'm not going to do the defending training that he wants. I will replace that with match tactics. So I need that session to prepare us for the game against Liverpool. Following the game against Liverpool, I'm just going to go back in and I'm going to schedule in a match review. And basically, I'm going to do that throughout the week. I'm just going to change those things into the match preview and the match review. I'm going to leave the rest of it to him. He's better probably than me at scheduling this, given his attributes. So why not leave it to him? If, for example, we do have a cup game, let's say, for example, we are playing against Manchester United and it's a cup game and there's a possibility of extra time and penalties, what I might do is take that one out, go to set pieces, and then schedule in some penalty training for that day, just in case the game happens to go to penalties. And so we've done our training pretty much for that week. The assistant will lead it, he will set it up. I'm just going to go in and tweak the match tactics, match preview, and pop in some penalties if and when we need to. There is one other thing that I like to do. If the board and the fans are very, very keen on you making the most of set pieces, then why not train them? And so maybe in one particular week, let's go into this week, what you might decide to do, okay, we don't need to do that. We'll pop in here some set piece training. We'll do some attacking corners and we will do some attacking free kicks. And those really are the only tweaks I'm going to make to the schedule that he sets up. That's basically it. In my Norwich save, this is how I do it. I don't spend too much time at all in training, and basically he's done a very good job. We are very, very successful, and I think there are more important things in that save I need to worry about, like the board. The board are making my life a living hell. So if you do like to see people suffer, pop along and watch that save, because it is an absolute nightmare at times, thanks to the board. And so part one of training is very, very easy. It's very simple to set up, and you have to make very, very few tweaks, if any at all. And so just using that very basic system, in the Norwich save, we have won back-to-back Premier Leagues. We are currently second in the league again this season. We recently won the Champions League, and we've won all kinds of trophies along our journey. I just wonder if training is really that important in FM23, and will it be exactly the same when FM24 comes out? For the moment, I don't really need to do much. And then the second thing that you can do, if you want to get involved in it a little bit more, you can. But it just basically is doing exactly the same thing as the assistant manager seems to do. Now, what he seems to do is he seems to have a knowledge of your team. And if we have a look at the team report and we go to the comparison, he is looking at the strengths and weaknesses of the team, and then he will set the training according to what those weaknesses are. Now, we're not very agile, we don't have great balance, and so he will set sessions up that will address this kind of thing. He will then look at the fact that we're not the most creative team and that we do struggle for passing and vision. We do have extremely good work rate. We're very aggressive and we're quite strong in terms of the team. And so what are we good at and what do we need to enhance to maximize success? And we can look at finishing here. We're not very good at finishing, so we'll probably end up doing a lot of attacking training if I was to follow what he's doing. But if you are taking a bigger, deeper dive into your training, then there are 5 things that you need to know. First of all, you need to know how you play. We play a custom fluid counter-attack, and basically we are playing a shorter passing game. We like to keep possession, and in transition we are not counter-pressing, we are slowing the game down, we're trying to frustrate the opponents. We will play with a low block mostly, although we do have other tactics that we use for bigger teams and for training purposes. This is what we are going to focus on. We want to focus on being very strong defensively, and I also know, because we are not the greatest of finishers, that we need to focus on our attacking play, attacking movement, and chance creation and chance conversion. So there's a lot of things that we need to work on, a lot of things that perhaps are not so important. And so if you are taking a deeper dive into training, this is the first of the 5 things that you will need to be aware of, your strengths and weaknesses. You also then need to factor in fitness and conditioning. You also need to factor in tactical awareness, as well as player development, and as well as match preparation for the upcoming fixture. And so if we go back to training and we want to look at this new way of doing it, it's just as simple to do. We'll just look at the calendar here, for example, and for example we will go into this week, we will go to tactical styles, and because we're playing a fluid counterattack, we'll set that to fluid counterattack. The amount of sessions available at which we can play with are very limited, and we have to decide which one of these are the most important. We are going to need to have a match preview here. We're going to need to have a match review here, which we can put in now because nothing's in the way. We are going to need a match review here because nothing's in the way. We can do that now. And then we're going to need to look at what is the most important thing here that we need. And so ball distribution is probably more important for this team than the physical aspect. So now we can take this physical, having swapped them over, and now put in our match tactics there. We have the same problem later in the week. Is defending engaged very, very important? Then I'm afraid, because we have no other slots, and I will always put a match tactics in here, we are going to do away with that one just for the time being. And so we will move through week by week. For the next week, we will possibly do some tactical play, and then he has got a schedule to do some technical play, which doesn't look like he's got a lot for us to do. There isn't, again, a lot of spaces. We are a very, very busy team at the moment. But if we move forward a couple of months, you'll see now that we only have one game in this week. This is an opportunity for us to do. He wants to work on defense. That's fine by me. It's very, very important that we focus on defense, that we remain defensively solid. He's again got a schedule for the vertical tiki-taka. We will change this to the fluid counter-attack, and we will focus our play on the fluid counter-attack. This looks to me like it is an international break, so perhaps what we might do is go in here and we will do some physical work, and we'll get the team working hard on the strength and quickness, resistance, all the physical stuff. We'll do that in an international break. Here, where he's got possession, we might want to change that. We might want to do some tactical work or some technical work. So we'll go in and do some technical work. Here, we've got attack. We need to focus our thoughts on attacking play from time to time. And basically all you're going to do then is go in here and tweak the system again. We're going to just put in our match previews, our match reviews where necessary. And here he has play from the back, and maybe that is quite important, or maybe it isn't. We don't play out from the back, so we can just simply not worry too much about that. Pop in there, put in our match tactics, go in here, put in our match review, and then we're done. Doing it this way will mean that you get the opportunity to focus on all the things that are necessary. You will definitely get a chance to work on the strengths and weaknesses. We can work on attack, which is very weak. We can work on physical stuff. We can work on defensive play, which we need to maintain. We need to be very strong in defense. So using these custom styles, we can actually do all kinds of different work and not have to have too much of an input ourselves. Obviously, we need to keep tweaking it based on what we are seeing. And those following along in the Norwich save will have seen that we did have a period, I think it was the month of December, where we had real problems passing the ball. For some reason, it seemed that we could not pass the ball 5 meters. We could not engage with each other at all. And so what I did was, for a couple of weeks towards the end of December, I just went in here and I set those to possession. I wanted us to work on our passing, our ball retention, holding on to it rather than giving it away as we were. In January, we started playing some of the most glorious football I've ever seen. Did I have an impact on that by actually changing the training like that? I don't know is the answer to that. Whether I did or not, I actually just felt good about the fact that I had possibly made some input into improving the performance on the pitch. And so this is, again, a very simple method of controlling your training, just by using the styles that you have available to you and your knowledge of your team's strengths and weaknesses and what you need to focus on. For example, we are not counter-pressing, so therefore we don't need to do much pressing work. And the slots that we would use for that, we would actually be better off working on possession or technical ability or our attacking play. So this is a very effective way that you can control your training and have some input, but it doesn't mean you have to spend a great deal of time doing it. You can also, if you wish, go into these training calendar weeks and change every single session to what you want it to be. However, that is going to take you a great deal of time. If you have that time to do it and you want to learn how to do this session by session, then that's great. For me, without the time to put into this, I prefer to use method 1 in the main. I don't think training is that big a deal in FM23. And I certainly won't delve any deeper than using the very simple method 2, using the styles and the knowledge of your team to create effective training plans. And so that's it for this video. If you are brand new to the channel, you like FM content and you love to see people suffer playing this game, well, I can tell you, you definitely are in the right place. So why not subscribe, click the bell, watch, like, comment, do all that good stuff and help us to grow. Help us to support the British Heart Foundation. And all that remains to be said now is thanks for watching. I hope you found this useful. Good luck with your training, and we'll see you all in the next one.